Probably something which hosts services via jars or wars. So it's like we can host our services on a web server, and users can connect to it via HTTP or, or I mean,
Okay.
yeah, various
Okay.
protocols.
Good. Okay. Let's
It can
consider
convert.
yes.
It can convert
Yes, please.
DNS names into IP addresses.
That is correct. Okay. Good.
Like using Apache server or Tomcat server.
Correct. That is correct. That's absolutely a good thing. Okay. So let's talk about what exactly web server. Let's say this is my computer. I'm sitting here and I'm making use of the computer, and I just open the browser. I just open the browser. However, I've just opened this, right. What did I open here? I just AWS.amazon.com. This is the request which I have given. Praveen mentioned this is a DNS name we have given, but internally we will do that how exactly transmission works. But for now, let's say I want to, for example, let's say I want to open Google.com. This is the URL, or this is the thing I type. This is the domain. This is the DNS I type here. I'm sitting in India and I'm trying to open this URL or this address, right? So this is something called as a client. Is somebody called as client, and what is the client expectation? He always expects something, right? That's what your clients also expecting in your organization, correct? So we are working in an organization because clients expect us to do something to client, right? So that's the reason what he wants to search something. So hence he has started typing google.com from his computer, and later this request, for example, this particular request will come to hit this server. Of course, we know how exactly mapping works. For example, this is a google.com, and there is a internally we transmit this to a particular IP address. We will discuss, now we will see how exactly this transmission will happen. But for now, we are entering google.com, and it has to reach a particular server which can handle this particular request. So there is a Google server, right, which is in UK or US. This this particular client will just hit this request, then this particular server will understand this request, and it just pass this information back to a client. So this is nothing but a server and client. So which means client is the one who requests something, server is the one who understands client request and give back some results. This is nothing but a server. And we are talking about web server. Of course, if I have to make some server as a web server, then it has to be undergone with some implementation called HTTP request, right? HTTP request. So that's the reason it is called as web server, which means whatever the request which is coming from the client, that has to reach a server with the help of HTTP or HTTPS protocol. So that's the reason it is called as web server. All right. Okay. So by considering this, what we will do, we will just create a server, right? In order to create a server, I need a machine, or I need a computer, right? Or I need a server, right? So I'm requesting something, and in order to suffice that requirement, somebody should understand my requirement. I mean, somebody should understand client requirement, and it should generate some data, and it should give back to client, right? This is how typically a web server works. All right. Now, in today's session, we will create a web server, and we'll install some Apache Tomcat, and we'll develop some code, and we'll consider that as a web server, and that web server can be accessed across the world. Can we do that? So this is one of the important thing we make use of EC2 instances. What exactly EC2? Elastic Compute Cloud, which means my requirement is to develop some server, or I want to deploy my application. For that, I need a computer. So this is my requirement, that I need to have a computer. In order to create a computer, I will make use of EC2 service. This is the EC2 is one of the service which is offered by Amazon. Are you getting it? See, this is the service which, see, you can see this is the services. Under services, we have EC2. So what exactly it says? Hey, you want to have a computer or server, just make use of this service. I'm happy to help you to create a computer. So the EC2 will tell you to how to create a computer. This will help you to create a computer or a server. This is the beauty of EC2. EC2 is a service which is offered by Amazon. Clear? For example, I want to create a database, right? I want to create a database. Let's say I want to create a DynamoDB. See, this, if I have to create a DynamoDB, if I just type this request in Amazon console, I will be able to create a DynamoDB as per my requirement, which means I don't have to create a computer and I don't have to install a separate software called DynamoDB. Instead, AWS is readily giving me a software, or it's a Dynamo database as well. So what I'm trying to say, these are all the services. So let's say I want to create a load balancer. Okay, load balancer here only we have, right? If you can go to EC2, let's say if I have to create a load balancer for one of my requirement, then I have to go get into EC2 section, and I can load balancer. See, here you can directly select and you can create a load balancers. Right, we will talk about. So these are all the services which are offered by Amazon. So these services may fall under infrastructure as a service, or platform as a service, or software as a service. Right now, I'm trying to create a server, and there I'll make that as a web server. Right. So in order to do that, I need to have a Linux machine or Windows machine. For now, let me spin up a Linux machine. Right? Let me spin up a Linux machine, and with the help of this Linux machine, I'll install some software. Right? So first, I'll just create a EC2 instance. EC2 in the sense it's a Linux server, or it's a computer which has Linux as an operating system. On top of it, I will install some software to make it a web server. Okay, you all agree with me? Can we go ahead and implement this requirement? See, in your organization, if client says, "Hey, I want to have one website. Can you help me in developing this?" So, right, let's say you are trying to kind of you're doing some POC. Just to do a POC, you don't have to purchase a computer or kind of a server. So instead, AWS says, "Hey, I have these services. Just make use of these services and just pay for whatever the duration you have used. Only for that you pay. Then implement whatever you want, and when you don't want these services, just terminate the instance." Right? So that's how the cloud computing works. So we'll just quickly get into these, and we'll create an instance. Can anyone guide me how to create a Linux instance which we have created yesterday? Any one of you just guide me, and I'll just follow your instructions.
Go to launch instance.
Okay.
Then select the available like services. Like you can write name, like whatever the service name you want, like server name you want to give.
Can I keep web server only? Okay, I'll give web server. Then
here you can select AWS or Ubuntu or Red Hat, like all are Linux servers.
okay, as we are our intention is to have a Linux one. Can I select Amazon Linux, or is there any way I should check here? Because as we are learning here, always we are supposed to look for free tier eligibility, correct? Yes or no? Okay, so this is Amazon Linux. Okay, let me select this one only. Okay, by selecting this, what did we achieve here?
We are getting a virtual Linux machine like spinning up for us.
That is correct. But by selecting this AMI, what did we achieve? What did you select actually? Exactly. We are telling Amazon that I want to, as soon as we create an instance or as soon as we create a computer or server, we need this particular operating system to be installed. This has to be ready when I get my instance, right? And later, what is the next step? I need to select the instance type. How do we select our instance type?
T2 micro is free.
Oh, it all depends on. Okay, let's click on compare instance type. We will see what are the available. See, we will discuss about this instance type today. So which one to select? What do you mean by T2.micro, T2.nano? What do you mean by M5 series, right? So if we just click on M5, we will get M5 series, and we will see when to use these instances. For now, we are only, let us just go ahead and use T2.micro. So T2.micro, this is available as free tier eligibility, correct? So I'm just selecting T2.micro as instance type. So this T2.micro, which has one virtual CPU, we will see what is virtual CPU, and also one GIB. So yesterday I was saying, what is the difference between GB and GIB? GB refers to 1000 bytes, whereas GIB refers to 1022 bytes. That's the difference between GB and JB. Guys, are you getting what I'm saying? You have any confusions here? I'm just reiterating what we have discussed yesterday. Things are supposed to be clear today. So if I ask you somebody to create an instance, you should be in a position to create an instance. Instance in the sense it's a server or it's a computer. It's another computer you're trying to create. All right. Okay. And you know already how to create a key pair. If not, just create it. Click here. And as I'm in Mumbai region, yesterday I have created a key called Linux key. Correct? See, if you don't have a key, you can always click here and create it. As I have already created, I can just make use of this Linux key because I'm creating a Linux machine and I know this is the name which I have given yesterday. Okay, and we will talk about network settings when we have a sessions on VPC, Route 53 and all. We will see what is subnets and all. Just forget about these steps for now, and later we talked about security group. If you want to create a security group, see, as this is a Linux machine, we are supposed to enable SSH port. What is the SSH port? It is 22, right? We will see that. But yesterday also I have created one security group. If you want to create it, I can go ahead and create it. If I create it, one security group will be, another security group will get created with the help of Launch Wizard 6. If I remember, yesterday first we created a Windows one and later we created a Linux one, right? So let's see if we have any one. For example, how many we have? We have 5. What did we create yesterday? First we created a Windows one and later we created a Linux. Let's see whether this is what we needed. So I just clicked on compare. See, this is what. So this is called as inbound rule. Inbound rules are supposed to be created for any of your computer or for any of your instance through which you will be able to communicate. So here in this inbound rule, what we can see, we are allowing the SSH with the help of TCP protocol with the range 2022, which means 2222 is a port which will help me to SSH, or SSH in the sense you are trying to access this particular machine, and who and all can access this machine. So here by default I have not given any restrictions. I can, it is simply saying anyone can. So 0.0.0.0/0, which tells you anywhere, and anyone can access this machine. Today we will see, we'll try to access from Canada, we'll try to access from US, we'll see how it works. Next, I am selecting the security group. If you forgot how to create a security group, please refer yesterday's video and you'll be able to create it. And later, this is my hardware specification. So as it is saying, free tier eligible customers can get up to 30 GB of EBS general purpose or magnetic purpose. Yesterday we have seen, when we terminate the instance, a volume also got deleted. And in AWS, in typical physical computer, we call this as a hard disk drive, whereas in AWS world or in cloud world, we call this as volumes. Please understand here. Please look at here. Please make a note of this point. Definitely, it will be a certification question. So storage, in real time or in physical computer, we call that as hard disk drive, whereas in AWS or in cloud, we call them as a volume. See, it is nothing. When I say 8 GB of RAM, sorry, hard disk, which refers to C drive. And if I want to have another volume, I can create it. So this will be referred as a D drive. Right? So in our computer, we can have multiple drives, right? Similarly, if you want, you can always create it. And later, let us not worry about advanced details, and let me click on launch. Okay, we'll see that. Let it run for some time. So as and when we create an instance, we are supposed to do the status check. It has to pass 2 levels of check. We will see what two levels of checks are little later. It is initializing. Okay. Meantime, and in real time, we have hundreds of web servers. In real time, we have hundreds of web servers, out of which I've just listed on 4. Apache HTTP server is one of the web server which is available in the market. Nginx, HTTPD by Apache. These 3 are meant for Linux flavors machine, and Internet Information Service (IIS) is a web server. It is a web server which is for Windows. Okay. In our example today, we'll try to install this HTTP service by Apache. So what is the step here? Before that, we'll continue this. Don't get confused. So my requirement is to I'll have to create one website, and I'll have to host that particular website on this server. So this is how it works, right? So when you click on google.com, that particular request has to be analyzed by one server. So in our case, this web server is a server. It's a virtual machine. On top of it, I'll have to do some configuration. Then definitely it'll act as a web server. So still it is initializing. Okay, now it is. I can see this is 2x2 check passed. Now what is the step? Either you can click on connect and get the public DNS name, right? Do you remember that? This is the public DNS name. Here you can do that. Else you can also log in with our public IP. Anyone have to allow? No. Okay. Okay, so let me get the public IP of this web server. Still, it is not a web server. It is just a server. Guys, please understand. I've, I've just spinned up an instance. Whenever we spinned up an instance, a base machine is called as server or EC2 instance only. Now we just created a server with some specification like 8 GB of hard disk and 2 GB of RAM and with one virtual CPU. So this is nothing but I've just created a computer or I just purchased a computer from somewhere. Now it is not a web server yet. In order to make this server as a web server, I'm supposed to install a software called Apache Tomcat. Then only it will be called as web server. So that's what we are trying to do it here. Now, in order to log in this one, so we have Putty, we have many other tools as well. I'm comfortable with Putty and I'm using that. So, right? So I'm just here we can give the DNS name or we can give a public IP. And in order to have authentication, I'm supposed to upload my private key. How to generate a private key? Please refer the previous video if you have not come across. Then I'm clicking on open and I accept the certificate. And what is the default name for Amazon Linux? It is a EC2, right? So you can always default user for, let's say for Ubuntu, what exactly it is? It is EC2 user. So for Amazon Linux, it is EC2 user, or for Red Hat or something, it comes comes like an admin also. So basically here we have to use EC2 user as a username and a password which was already encrypted, which was already decrypted, and same thing we have just uploaded, right? Please look into this sudo yum update, which means I have a operating system ready, right? This is what I know. Whenever I logged in, I have a computer. On top of it, Amazon Linux operating system got installed. Now it is my duty to install the necessary software to make this computer or server as web server. The typical steps are, first of all, we'll have to update our repositories. We will discuss about repository at all. So basically, Yum is a tool which will help me to update my packages. Why do we need to update our packages? For example, see, just now we have created by selecting the latest Amazon Linux AMI. That is fine. What if if you have created 1 year? What if you have created this machine 1 year before and you have not made any upgrade? See, even for Windows machines also, you will be keep on receiving a notification. There is a newer version which has come up. Would you like to upgrade? This kind of pop-ups you used to see, right? So in order to, if at all, if you have this kind of updates from the operating system level, if you have to update to a latest version of Linux, to the latest version of Amazon Linux, we'll have to update this one. In order to update in order to keep it updated, we are supposed to make use of yum tool, but we can't execute these commands alone because it has to be executed by root user. We will discuss about what exactly root users and what are the permissions and all, but for now, this EC2 is a user, but he doesn't have much permissions to execute all the commands. So that is the reason we have to execute, we have to log in as a root user. What is a command to log in as a root user? Sudo su. See, now he has become a root user. If you want to come out of this, you just have to type exit. So once you type exit, so we'll be logging out from the root user and we are into EC2 user. Now our requirement is to log in as a root user. Let's quickly jump in here and we'll see. Okay, we update the we are supposed to update the yum repository and we'll have to install the web package and we'll see what are the commands. See, we logged into sudo su user. Now we'll have to update the repository. So what is the command? Yum update y. Why we give -y? Uh, while executing this command, there are some places where we have to give a permission as yes to accept all the licenses or the necessary steps. So in order to skip that, we give -y. See, it is getting updated. Good. So which means now my operating system is up to date. So all the features of Amazon Linux will be able to make use of them. Now this is completed. Now the first step is we'll have to update our repository. This is done. Now we'll have to install my Apache Tomcat. As I mentioned, we are trying to install stdpd from Apache, right? So what is a command to install? Just to clear the screen, I'm just going to type cler. And what is the command here? As we are
Yum
already in the root user, right? Yum install
install
stdpd
-y.
hyphen y. Why do we need to give hyphen y? So the installation will be faster, so that whatever the necessary things where we have to give yes, then it'll take care, right? So let's install this one. Now see guys, what I'm doing here on the bare machine. I've updated the repository, and once I updated the repository, I have installed explicitly. I've installed a software called STTPD or Apache Tomcat. Now I can say this is my web server because I have installed Apache Tomcat on top of the machine. Correct. Now what I have to do? I'll have to check whether this service is up and running, right? In order to check the service httpd status, so it is inactive. Don't worry about this Linux command. Probably if no, for this course, if whatever the commands are needed, we will I'll try to give some, I'll take some sessions, 1 or 2 sessions, and I'll try to cover as much as possible. We'll see that. So this is a command to check this service status. Now based on this one, it says it is inactive or it is stopped. Now what is a command to start this service? httpd. Okay, it gets started. So it is redirected to system path. If I see that it is running now. If I, what is the IP address of this machine? This is the IP address of this machine. See, now I made this particular machine available everywhere. Whoever wants to access it, we may be able to access. Okay, now will it work now if I hit this URL? Anyone?
No,
Why, Pratishta?
because Naveen, I saw that in the inbound network rules, the HTTP has not been added. As only the SSH has been added. If
That
I'm
is
not
correct, right?
wrong.
No, you are correct. See, you have to come to instance part, and we have, see, if you go here, you can see instance detail here. You can see what is the instance type you selected, and public IP and private IP, what is the EMI details and everything. And under the security group, see, purposefully I have not added this one. So under the security group, you can see inbound rule. See, we have only 22 port which we have enabled for everyone. But when I say STTP, in the sense that that has to be accessed with the help of the port called 80, correct? If it is HTTPS, it is 443, and if it is STTP, it is 80. Now, what we need to do here, we need to edit the inbound rule. We need to add one rule. I should say that, hey, I want to allow this port which is of HTTP protocol. See, HTTP protocol, and it is for now. I'll just give it all. So which means Pratishta, she can also access this machine, and I'll just save it. Now you can see two inbound rules have been added here. One is for 22. This is for accessing purpose, and this is for transferring the request and response over the port 80 with the help of the HTTP protocol. See, this is the web page. Now this is a standard Apache page. Let us try to edit this one, right? So there is a place where you what happened? HTML. See, basically, let us create one HTML page. Index.html. Most of you must be knowing why do we give index.html, because this is the default page where each and every server looks into as a initial stage, right? And later you can customize. See, I'm trying to just create one HTML page, and I want to show this is my website. If you are expertise in Java or Python or whatever, this is the way, which means you have a server and you have installed Apache Tomcat, and you'll have to write necessary code however I'm writing, right? Okay, I'm sorry. What is the code? So okay, I'm sorry. See, I forgot to tell you. Most of you are not familiar how to create a file. See, when I do ls is nothing but listing the resources under this particular folder, right? I'm in the location where www/html now, which means when I say present working directory, what exactly it says, pwd is a command which will help us to get the current working directory. So we are in where www/html. Now what I created, I when I did ls, I did not get anything. It was listed 0. Now vi is a command which will help me to create a file, right? So if I just, but we have not saved it. Now index.html, I'm just creating a one HTML page, and if I have to write something, we will have to press I. See, it has come to insert. So now I'm pressing escape. See, this is the typically I've not saved it, right? So see, I'm just vi.index.html. I'm requesting a editor to type something, and I'm pressing enter. Now see, this is something, it is saying index.html new, but here I want to write something. So in order to write something, I should press I. Now I can write my things, right? So for example, if oh, I wrote something, and in order to save this file, I should come out from the insert mode. In order to come out from the insert mode, I should press escape, and afterwards colon. If I have to write, or if I have to save this file or content, I should type W. And if I have to quit, what I'm saying, I want to save this file. For that, I have given W, and I have to come out of this file. I have to close this file after writing, after saving. I'll have to type Q and exclamatory mark and enter. Now, if you do ls, you'll be able to see index.html. And if you want to see the content of this one, so just use a cat command. You can see this is what we have seen, right? So guys, this is how your application, most of you noticed So this will be something like, code in your Eclipse, Java code in your Eclipse, right? So this is how we'll do system.out.println, and we follow some folder structure, right? src source, right? So we'll have to have a similar kind of structure. And now when I hit, this is called my website. This is the beauty of cloud computing, which means, see, this is not my computer, but still, uh, I just created this computer with the help of Amazon, and I have developed my content and I'm hosting. Now it is available globally. Can anyone type this one and let me know?
I'm able to access in my mobile.
Okay, good. So I think most of us, each and everybody, can access this particular website. This is called as website, right? But typically, how exactly it works, we will not. So it is not good practice to share these kind of things, right? So what I will do, instead of typing this 13.127.29.122, I will just give a name, alias name, or domain name called google.com. I can give this, and definitely we have a detailed session on this, how to implement these things also. We will do that in the later sessions. So this is how the transmission, which means whenever we say google.com, then this google.com, which in turns translate to this particular IP address, and when it comes to this IP address, it looks for the pages for the developed one, and accordingly it does create our web page. Okay, so any questions here? So yesterday we just created it and we just terminated it, right? But most of you might be having question, why did we create a EC2 instance on the Windows one, on Linux one? Why did we delete it? What is the use of EC2? What is the use of server, right? So this is what the one of the use case we use it. So in this case, I made this as a web server by installing Apache Tomcat. If at all, if I have to have a database, Oracle database, even I can install Oracle database on this machine. See, however, I have installed Apache Tomcat. So similarly, I can install Oracle database. Then I can call this server as database server instead of web server. Do you see my point? Okay, let's take some questions if you have, else we'll move further. Okay, so this is what we followed. I'll be sharing these things, in after today's session. You can just refer to this document. Okay, okay, this is done. So we'll just continue for another 10 minutes, and afterwards we'll take a Q&A. Okay, now this is one scenario. We have seen that one of our Linux machine can be used as a web server, correct? Okay, now I want to transfer some data from my local machine. Let's say I want to, let's say I have a folder, and within that I have a see, okay, this is the content I would like to let's say I have a couple of folders or a couple of files within the folder. Now my requirement is to transfer this file from my computer, from my physical computer, to remotely created computer. This is the day-to-day tasks when you become a DevOps engineer, or when you become a AWS solution architect. You are supposed to do these kind of jobs. So, and similarly, when we are doing some project, we will be making use these steps. So in order to do those upcoming sessions, I'm just giving it here right away. So which means it's a day-to-day task. We are supposed to transfer some file from your local machine to remote host. When I say remote host, in a sense, this is the remote host Why do we call this as a remote host? Because this is available remotely. Correct. This is available remote in the remote location. So see, you may see some situation like putty session will be inactive. We can also increase the time duration. But if at all if you see these issues, either you can start a new session, or you can duplicate the session, or you can do a restart session. So if you do restart session, you will be on the same page now. So, okay, let it be, whatever. Now we are in this machine. Now this is we have selected Mumbai, which means this machine is in Mumbai. Definitely this machine hosted in Mumbai. Now I want to transfer some files from this machine to this machine, right? So let's try to do this. Okay. In order to do this, we need to have some softwares called WinSCP. Okay, so let me see. Okay, for Linux, first of all, what is the steps to know? If let's say if my requirement is to transfer some files from your local system to Linux server or remote server which we created, we'll have to create an instance. We'll have to generate the PPK, and now we'll have to download and install the WinSCP. So how to download the WinSCP? So just go here, WinSCP download. If you just go here, you will get into WinSCP. See, these are the guys, these are the tools. Okay, so you'll have to get familiar with these things. So when you start working with any of the requirements, so you're supposed to have these many softwares without asking anyone, right? So it's your responsibility to understand as soon as you get a project, or when you get into a company, you're supposed to, being DevOps or AWS solution architect, it's your responsibility to have these kind of softwares. So no, you should not ask anyone which tool do I need to transfer the files and all, right? So here, this is a place where you can learn. See, I have already downloaded and installed. You just click on this. I'll share this. Here you can download WinSCP, and it's an executable file. Just double click on it. Just follow simple instructions. You will be able to transfer the file. Now, as I have already installed, let me directly get into WinSCP. Okay, now it is asking host name. So now host name can be two things. What is the host name? It can be IP address, or it can be a DNS name. Correct. So now this one only. See? And the port number is, what is this? Okay. Now what is the default username for this machine? It's a EC2 user. And for putty, we used to give a password, right? So similarly, in order to log into this WinSCP, in order to log into this machine with the help of WinSCP tool, you should click on advanced. You should click on guys. Are you getting what I'm saying? See, till now we logged in with putty, and with the help of putty, we were able to access the machine. Now, instead of accessing machine, we are trying to share some information from my local machine to your remotely created machine. So in order to do that, I have selected the protocol, and in the host name, I'm giving the IP address, and I should give the username and password. But in AWS, there is no concept of password. Instead, it will be a it's a decrypted one. So I should click on advanced, and I should click on authentication, and here it is asking me to enter private key. So this we have already generated and saved. So let me see, AWS key. Yeah, this is the Linux key, right? Because it's a Linux machine. And let me click on the OK button.
So Naveen, for WinCP also, the secret key is the PPK version, right?
That is correct. Not the PEM one. Okay. See, this is your remote machine. Guys, please understand, right? This is your Linux machine and this is your local machine. See, I can see this one. I can see my desktop and have created a folder. You just drag it and drop. Or you can just right click. Okay, if you want to have, just right click and you can click on upload also. Similarly, if you want to download any of the file from the remote location to your local machine, vice versa, you can do that. It is just simple, just download. You're getting it now. Now my files are transferred. How to validate? See, some of the files and folders I have copied from my local machine to remote machine, which I have created, and the two, that is a web server. Now how to check it? So I should log into this machine. It is the putty session is already expired. Let me click on restart session and let me log into this. What is a command to see the list of devices or list of resources which are available? Let's, can you see this?
Let's.
Guys, this is your Linux machine which is hosted in Mumbai. This machine which I am using, this is in Bangalore, right? So I just transfer the file from my local machine to remote machine. Correct. So if I can get into folders, yeah, and CMC, yeah, this is what I've written. Correct. If you want to validate it, you can just validate here. This is the beauty of cloud computing. So things are getting very easy, right? So trust me, if somebody have installed a Linux machine on top of Windows machine, definitely those will know the pain of installing multiple operating system in a same computer, right? It takes hours of time, and it will be the performance, definitely it will go down. There are a lot of things. So without impacting my physical computer, I've just created my one remote machine. When I say remote machine, it's a EC2 instance, or it's a server, or it's a host. We can call in these names. It can be called as a host, a remote machine, or EC2 instance, or server, or computer, right? So yesterday Lakshman was asking, right? So yeah, this is what it is. So what we did, we transferred the files from local machine to remote. Similarly, we can do a remote machine to local. Is this clear? Please say yes or no, any one of
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's clear.
Okay, now as I'm done with my things, see, let me get into this one. Let me terminate this, because this will be, because I'll be using multiple instances. So let me delete this instance. Do you understand the significance of creating an instance and making this server as a web server? We just created a EC2 instance. When I created an instance, here, it was just a EC2 instance. But after installing Apache Tomcat on it, then it has become a web server. So this is what my website. See, it is a website. If you want to have some hyperlink, I can put hyperlink. If you want to have some HTML code, we can just right. You can put these things, and let's say then you can see one submit button, right? So probably you can see that. Okay, so let's say I want to implement something like this. See, this is the source code. Just can simply copy this piece of code, and I can get into, okay, I just close the putty. Okay. Problem 13.127.9.122. And I should get into SSH and I should log in with my private key and I should click on open, and the default username for Amazon Linux machine is this one. Okay, so and I logged in as a root user, cd var www.st/html, where I can see if I have to modify vi space index.html, and yes, I clicked on insert. Now I'm deleting the content, right? And afterwards I just copied here something, and probably this is also not needed. I don't know. Let's see. And I've just pressed escape button, colon, right, quit. So you can see what is your index.html. Just refresh it. See, this is how you know things are coming in. And you most of you know, right, how to implement it. For submit button, you can give another hyperlink in your code and do that. So this is how your things work. Do you understand this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is how this is the reason we create a server and we make them as a web server. On top of it, we implement our code. This is what I was saying, right? Like we have some Java application of net banking, whatever the service you would like to implement, you can implement in this machine. And this machine just publish your code by writing a kind of a code like this and just hit your things. That's it. All right, now let me terminate this instance and let me quickly show the Windows. Okay. Okay. So now let me quickly create a Windows machine, and similarly, however we did it, we'll try to transfer some file from a local machine to Windows machine as well, right? So my Windows. And yes, it is freely available, correct? And can somebody guide me again? I don't know how to create a Windows machine. Can anyone of you help me to create this one?
You can probably search for Windows in the
Okay.
catalog. I'm gonna browse for more EMI and
okay, so here I can see this is Ubuntu, right? And this is Windows freely available, correct? So as we are interested in free, so I'm just selecting this AMI. AMI in the sense Amazon machine image. So by selecting this one, I'm somehow I was able to select a kind of operating system. And afterwards, yes, this is free tier. I'm just going with 1 GB of memory and one virtual CPU, and this is a tutorial macro. We will see the instance type probably tomorrow, and we'll have to create a new pair. If you have to create a new pair, you can click here, or we have created something called as Windows key yesterday, right? We can make use of this. And what next? You can also select the security group, correct, right?
Yes.
Yes or no? So we can select the security group. Sorry. I think it is Windows one was Linux 4. No. First we created Windows, right? Sorry, yesterday Linux, and let's see. We'll see compare security groups. No, this is for Windows. Let's select this one. Yeah, this is a RDP protocol. Are you getting what I'm doing here? Instead of creating a new security group, I'm just making use of the existing one. as I'm creating Windows 1, I need to enable RDP protocol. That's what I did. And there is a, by default, there is 30 GB of hard disk which is allocated, and I'm clicking on creating. Now, let me look at our Windows instance. Generally, it does take some time, but if you are using existing keys, then this performance will be faster. We'll be able to, once it comes to active state or status check or passed, immediately we'll be able to access them. Okay, it is running and it is initializing. How to connect this one? We should click here and I should click on this thing and we should RDP link. We should get the username and password, right? How to get the password here? So I should, okay, see what it is saying. Please wait at least 4 minutes after launching an instance before trying to retrieve auto-generated password. Okay, we'll have to wait for some time. Meantime, if you have some questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer your questions. Okay, let me click on get password. And what is the Windows PEM file? Sorry, it's a Windows one, right? I should select the Windows PEM file and I should click on decrypt password and I got the password. And this is the user name and this is the password, right? And this is the public DNS we can give. We can go ahead and use this one only instead of having the IP address. We can also use IP address as well. Now, how to connect to this one? So we need to open remote desktop connection and we should give the computer name. And before clicking on connect, please click on the show options here, right? If you don't understand, please let me know. See, I'm just redoing it again. See, this is remote desktop connection because this is a Windows machine and I'm giving my computer name. It's a DNS name of your computer, or you can give the IP address. So typically we'll just click on connect, right? Instead of before doing that, we need to make familiarize about our computer to this remote machine. Please understand, once again, I'm recalling this one. When before logging into this remote machine, I want to make sure this computer, this remote computer, that I should say there are some folders or there are some disks which are available locally. Please get familiarized with these disks before you launch your remote machine. For that, I'm just clicking on more options here. There is something called as local resources. Please click on the local resources, click on more. And if you have not selected these things, see, this is my local computer info. I have C drive, E drive, and F drive. Have C drive, E drive, and F drive. So when you click this option, which means you are making familiarize of your local computer to your remote computer. So once that is done, click on next. Give the username as EC2 user. Sorry, what is the username? This is a Windows one, right? What is the username? It's a administrator. Okay, once again I'm saying, so once you have, first you give your computer name and you should click on show more options, and later you should come to local resources. You should click on more and make sure you check this option. What exactly drives will have, which will have the your local drive information, and press OK. And later come to general point. Here you should give the username as administrator. Click on connect. Now you should give your password. What is the password here? Let me copy the password and click on OK. Yes. Now my computer is being prepared. See, this is the Windows machine which I'm creating now. Yes, see guys, yesterday also we created, today also we are creating. So by this point of time, you should be able to create Linux flavors and Windows machines as per your need. Okay, so let it come to active state. Now let us try to copy some
Sir,
folders.
I have.
Yes.
Yeah, you just access local drives, no? So
Correct.
if any local printer installed, can we access as well? Printer also?
It can be accessed. It all the settings which we may perform on your Windows machine. It is possible.
But they have only
That
got
is how.
drives only.
No. I'm not talking about only drives. Whatever the softwares which you are storing on your drives or folders, it can be shared across. For example, if printer is configured on my machine, okay, and same printer can be allocated to this machine also. So that is how for your in your organizations you will have only one printer or one Xerox machine, and each and everyone can try to give a printouts from your respective computer, being in your computer. Correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now let me copy the similar things. See, do we have any folders here? No, right? So let me copy the similar folder. I'll just right click and click on copy. What is this? Win SAP. Just closing this. Just clicking on right button, clicking on copy, and now I'm just pasting it. My life has become easy. Correct. So this is the beauty of computing. Okay, my work is done. I'm just closing this session, and immediately what we need to do, if you are okay, your works are done, immediately you should come and close your, terminate your instance. Okay.
Naveen, as we give the permission to access our local drivers, that's why we able to copy paste from our local driver to the AWS
Exactly.
Windows machine. Okay.
That is correct. If that is not enabled, then you don't you do not get that option of paste only.
Now you created the AWS Windows servers and you are accessing the things from your local system. That's why you are able to. Now, if I want to access the same AWS Windows machine, so I need to give the same permission for that as well to
From
access
your
it.
local machine. From your local machine.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Because you are trying to because this is publicly available. This is a
Yes.
public machine, and I'll be sharing the public IP with you, and you can access. You could have tried that, right? So can we? Okay, tomorrow, or you can try that one. Sorry, unfortunately, I just terminated it. Otherwise, I could have given this IP address to someone, and you could have also uploaded something. This is completely globally available. Okay, you can try that. Any other questions? We are already running out of time, but still I'm happy to answer your questions. Please do let me know if you have something to ask. Okay, Syed. Yes, Syed. Syed has raised his hand. Any other things? Sayed, you have any questions?
Naveen, you have created Tomcat server, right? For example, if you want to create this Express server, how to do that? Is it similar
Again,
way we need to install Express module?
exactly. So we found some commands. See, in Linux, everything has to be done with the commands only. So
Mm-hmm.
similarly, we'll have to find the respective software repository, and you'll have to download that locally, and you'll have to install with the commands only. Like for HTTPD, how did we yum install HTTPD? So similarly, there will be commands given to install that particular software, and you can install that from the repo.
Okay. Oh.
We can do anything in Linux. We can do anything. So in typically in Windows machine, we'll have to like how we did for putty and all, or WinSCP, we try to install, right? So we get into this website and we download it. And here we'll for Linux machines, probably you may get some commands. Okay, so we'll have to just copy the commands and we'll have to execute in the putty in our server, in our Linux one. Do you see my point, Kavita?
Yeah, Naveen. Yes, I got
Okay.
it.
Thank you. Any other things?
Sir,
Tell me.
exact use of putty.
Sorry. Sorry. What was your question? Meantime, let me stop the recording. Okay, please go ahead. Somebody asked something.